Welcome everyone to another week of Fantasy PD. Here with a different crew this week. I'm your host Berg with regular host Nick, and our third host, the special guest this week is Jake McManus. Welcome.
Jake,
Happy to be here.
good to
Happy
have
be
you on.
here. I appreciate it, Nick. I appreciate it. I always appreciate our conversations. Berg as well. You're looking cute as usual with the cowboy hat. I love it.
Thank you. You're definitely the
Def-
most stylish one I've seen on this podcast yet, though.
Definitely cuter than some other folks that wear cowboy hats, if I may say.
Thank you. I'm going for the Dirty Dan Award again. We'll see if I get it this year. All right. Well, starting off, Jake, few people on the podcast last week had some stuff to say about your team, and I wanted to give you a chance to respond after everything that went down last week. What do you have to say?
Yeah, I appreciate it, Berg. There's been some analysis. There's been some words. There's been some memes, per se. But I'm glad that I could come out, prove the folks wrong, prove all the haters wrong. Like I've said since week one, when everyone was dying, my first round pick snapped their leg in half. My second round picks quarterback snapped their leg in half. But that's okay. You can hate on the team, but the team will always come back. The team came back. It's stronger than ever, and we're ready to roll. Now, some people may not know. I have one of the best quarterbacks in the league. There's some trades out there. There were some questionable trades that could have taken place, but me being a stand-up person, I would never put something out there that wasn't good value for both. I did joke a little bit. Matt, Nick, and I were deep into the talks of a potential trade. That one did not have Josh Allen in it, but it was Breece Hall for DJ Moore. And I was told that DJ Moore is an absolute bum, which, as we can see from this past week, is not true. He doesn't have any game below 10 points. And just went off for 26 points, something like that. And I didn't even need him in the starting lineup to score the most points of the week. So I'm very happy with my progress. It's only up from here. We've had some setbacks, but that's okay. We can work it out. We can manage through it, and that's exactly what we're gonna do.
Well said.
In Wisconsin, we trust, right?
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Jake, this is the beautifulness about the podcast. We give the people a voice. You can't just let Peter and Chris and Dan, these talking heads, just go on and on about how bad of managers and teams we have in this league and think they're three the best. You got to let the people talk for themselves. And that's why we invited you this week. I'm glad you're sticking it to them. I'm glad you put out all those great memes this week because it was great content. And I loved it all.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like I said, I mean, there's no other host that I would rather be with than these two right here. This is great. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it, Jake. Moving on, Nick, you want to go through your weekly table?
Oh yeah. This table was updated literally 10 minutes ago. Hey, it's a busy week. I've got we got a lot of stuff on my plate, just like Dan Miller does. Go ask him about it. I don't know if he'll have time to respond. But some interesting tidbits about the table this week. The league average was exactly the same as it's been all season. So 104.3. We averaged 104.3 this week. So really hitting the mark this week, league. Some big things that are popping out. Cole at 3-1 is very lucky to be 3-1. One week he had no chance of getting a win, so that's going to hurt him. One week he had the highest score, but I think his team's a little bit overperforming. Some other things I see, the 1-win teams and the 0-win teams outside of Dan. So Hebert, Toy, Matt, Nick, they're kind of right there. I feel like their record is what it should be, and it's below 500. So the table's pointing that out. They're pointing out Jake and Cole and that row of average points against under 90 points on average a week. That's going to change. And likewise, it's going to change for Peter and Peter and Toy, who have 115 plus against on average is ridiculous. So good times are ahead for both of those teams.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Nick.
Absolutely. I agree. I think that some of these stats are great. I think that some of these stats are, I mean, obviously it's week 4, so it's just not a huge sample size. We all get that. Some of them are stats for stats, but I always appreciate looking at these because they're always, there's always something that jumps out, and it's like, that makes sense, and let's put some numbers to it. But there's definitely, I think, when it comes to management, and when it comes to potential of players, obviously unseen on all teams, overperformance, underperformance. There's stuff that's outside of the numbers, but always good to see these.
Yeah, it's not perfect. I mean, you're giving credit for half of wins to teams and whatnot, but I mean, I like the boom bust potential line as the season goes on. It's
Yeah.
meaningless really right now, because it's so few of weeks. But yeah, if you're looking for more of like a schedule by schedule, how I would go to Chris's second favorite hub, the ffhub.com, and check it out.
Absolutely.
I'm just happy to be in the positive for wins above expected this year. Feels like I've always been on the unlucky side of things in past years when we've seen this table.
Yeah, it's gonna favor the teams that are winning more because they're getting the full credit for the wins while probably not technically deserving it. So
All right, now to my favorite segment of the podcast, the power rankings, where real bold decisions are made. Jake, we're going to start out with you. I like
Yeah.
the start of your power rankings. Why don't you go through
Yeah.
the rest? It's kind of obvious who number 1 would be on this.
I was pretty close between you, Berg, and Nick, going back and forth between one and 2. I will say, Berg, hold strong, man. You have a phenomenal team. Do not answer Dan's calls. Please don't.
He's been too busy to send me offers this year.
That's good. That's good. I told you. I mean, I told you when we were talking trades. I tried to throw some things out there to upgrade, quarterback and whatever. But I mean, there's just not a lot of, areas from running back and wide receiver that, we had from a trades perspective. But yeah, you've got a really, really good team, with a lot of handcuffs. My God. I mean, just like the handcuffs on not only, running backs, but I mean, with the situation you have with Puka and also, Cup is
Well, I
really
traded
good.
Cup to Chris a few days ago.
Yeah, which
Hopefully
I think
I end up on the
which
better side. Yeah.
I think that's a good move because, like, 2 weeks ago, maybe, we're thinking differently. But now I think Puka's still going to have a really big role. Obviously, I think he's phenomenal. So, I think that was a good move there. And who knows? I mean, it's a hamstring injury, right? I mean, he could go out there and run one route and bust it again, and that's not a good injury for receivers. But yeah, Nick, a great team as well. Obviously, started 3-0, phenomenal. So I was really going back and forth with you guys there. I think Chris, I had Chris after he drafted Kirk Cousins at like bottom of the list, just because that was a bold move. Worked out for him. I don't believe he's on the team anymore, but that's okay, because he's made some really good moves. A lot of his picks have played out. He's also been active on the waiver wire, I believe, and he's also made some moves as well in the trade market, which is great to see. Cole obviously made some moves with A-Chain, and he has a good solid team there. Across the board, Milk's team is phenomenal, but I did put in some some manager skills into this ranking system. That is also why I have myself there at number 6. Power rankings are power rankings, but managers are managers, and I think we're on the up and up. It's getting there. Shaw's team I think is good, but he's got some injury problems, right? But definitely solid. He's got really good receivers. and I think he has two. I think he has Ingram too, which I think Ingram's underperforming, just like most of the Jacksonville team. So I think that Shaw could really shoot up there as well. I had him, above Milk for a little bit, but Milk could do absolutely nothing and still pretty much have a solid team. Um, Peter's team's trash. I don't think it's very good. Uh, I think he will stick on to Mahomes and Kelsey, and that'll be great. But I mean, that's a lot of risks because I don't think the rest of his team is all that great. I can't wait to play him when we have our matchups coming up. I'm not sure when that is, but I'm looking forward to it. Matt Nick, I think it has an unfortunate situation with some pretty big gap between his wide receivers, and I don't really believe that much in CeeDee Lamb because I hate the Cowboys. Dan, same kind of situation. He's had some unfortunate situations, and then Hebert and Toy, I don't think have very good teams. Hebert has the entire Green Bay Packers lineup on his team.
He's
He did
slowly
move it
getting
a
rid of
little
them.
bit.
Yeah.
But for a while, when I was going through hard on every single team, I kept coming across just those players, and hey, that's okay. Hey, they're doing good. I mean, got some value out of some people, but yeah, that's where I'm standing now.
So Jordan Love is now a starting quarterback on Team Miller this week.
I
Dan-
did see that. He
Dan-
grabbed him very quickly.
You went hard for him. He's a closet Packers fan. 7 fab for a quarterback that's probably overperformed on the touchdowns. It's a little bit for my liking.
Dan's
I
desperate
like
for
the
a win
move.
this week.
Yeah, I like the move just because I mean I know Dan is 1-3. I don't think I don't think the 1-3 is reflective of his team. I think he's better than that. But with Sean, he's got Deshaun Watson, I believe, and I agree with the 7 for Jordan Love there, and who knows, could
Well,
be all right.
you're not exactly the model citizen for fab, so I think I'll
Oh
take that
no.
with a grain of salt.
Hey, no, yeah, no, I tend to get a little excited on some players, but I stand by with the exception of my very first fab move. That was just dumb.
How did Thielen do last week? Because I definitely
Thielen's
roasted
been
you.
great. So that was I know Peter said that I overpaid. I think
I scored.
or maybe he defended it. I'm not sure. Someone said that I overpaid. I don't think I overpaid for that at all. I thought that was like a perfect amount. I mean, there was a bid out there for 17 or 19. I mean, what do you want?
Yeah.
Five fab differences. I'll take that. But with my team, I think that's exactly what I needed because a guy like DJ Moore and Pittman. They could be great, but they could also not be great. So I needed someone who has a decent floor, and it seems like Thielen's working his way back in there to have that solid floor. But I mean, he's I think 10 to 12 points last like 3 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, he scored 12 this week. So yeah,
Yeah.
if he keeps putting up numbers, it was well worth the price.
Yep. Absolutely.
Right. Thanks, Jake. Nick, you want to go through yours really quick?
Yeah, for sure. My side note before the power rankings, I did just look at the schedule, and Jake, you do play Peter next week, so I'm hoping
great.
for a spicy
Oh,
side bet between the
there
two
we
of you.
go.
Yeah, my power rankings. I put myself at the top. I'm usually humble. I don't like putting myself because it's an easy way to give credit to more people, so I don't have people complaining to me after the podcast. But I couldn't do it in good faith. I think I have the best starting roster when healthy. It's if I had to pick, I kind of made the power rankings. If I had to take a roster right now, that's the one I would want. I didn't do managerial rankings because that would change some things. But given the fact that my team has top end wide receivers and running backs still, if Saquon comes back, I'm feeling really good. I feel a little bit different about Peter's team than you did because of that Mahomes Kelsey stack. I'm very high on Kyren Williams. He's not a good running back, I don't think, but just the way that McVay uses him, it's you can't look away. So he's just always going to get tons of work as long as he's healthy. Hurt me to put him this high, but I've got Berg at 3. I mean, look, he had Pollard as his 6th round keeper, and now his team is starting to get healthy. So as everyone put him number one and then put him 12th when all the uncertainty with those guys, he's climbing his way back up to the top. I had very similar rankings with him and Chris this week. Because of that trade they made, the Cup, Jonathan Taylor, T. Higgins type thing. One of those two probably jumps to the top of the rankings if it works out for them. One of those two probably goes down several spots if it doesn't work out. So we'll look to see how that trade ends up going. Um, I thought I'd be the lowest on Shaw this week because he's got two of the best receivers like in the league easily. But Jake beat me. So, but I've got him at 5. His running back situation is not great, and he's starting Brock Purdy, who can't throw it 3 yards past the line of scrimmage. Kind of low on Milk. Not much to say about him. Dan's team is the most mid team in the league. I mean, he's even admitted to it. His wide receivers are so meh. I think he needs to go offer all 4 of them for one guy that's like slightly better. I think he needs to go like lose a trade technically, give a little bit more value than what it's worth, but just so that he can consolidate somewhat and then go take some chances on flyers on the waiver wire. And then this bottom 5, Cole's interesting. Depends on how Eckler comes up. Matt Nick, don't know a ton about his team. I think it's overperformed. I mean, Gabe Davis, nothing special. He's kind of getting him some touchdowns here that probably won't stay. Jake, I moved you up a spot. You're from 12
Thank
to
you.
11.
Appreciate
Your
it.
team is no longer hopeless in my eyes, as I thought it was last week, and that's because of Montgomery, Pacheco, maybe a little life out of Zach Wilson for the Garrett Wilson connection. I think you were dealt a really tough hand with your first and second rounders with those big injuries. I think if you're able to get out of this hole and make the playoffs, it'll be a credit to your managerial ability, and you'll have my utmost respect forever.
Nick, that is why I love you. Thank you for pointing that out. Everyone
Yeah.
seems to forget the fact that my 1st-round pick died and
Yeah.
my 2nd-round pick's quarterback died. So I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, Nick. I'm going to put you on the spot. If
All
you
right.
were going to take into account managerial chutzpah, where would you put me?
I think you're able to make enough moves to get up right on that line of the playoffs. I think it's going to be tough to pass guys that just have great keepers and great lineups, like the top 4 or 5. At the end of the day, I think you can pass up Matt Nick. I think you could pass up Hebert. I think Cole's a good manager, so you'll have your work cut out with him. Both of you kind of have subpar rosters. You guys are fighting for that last spot. The thing I'll add in along with that is you have a great points for right now. So if you can keep that up, you're going to be in contention for that most points for at the end of the season.
Appreciate it.
This is going to be the best. This
You
little
ready
bit. I can't wait to see. Yeah, let's see
for
it.
my power rankings? Here they are. My team's obviously number 1. I don't think we need to discuss that at all. Peter and Chris, I like their teams.
Jesus, you're screwing Nick. Sorry,
Nick's
guys.
team is a fraud. Nick's team,
Bro.
it's okay. I'd be fine with it, but it's not the number 1 team in the league. I can guarantee that. The other things, Jake, I had you a little lower too, but I think there's some room to work. You are better than I thought you were last week. You can still keep growing. Cole's team, I think, might be the worst team in the league, especially as long as Eckler's out. It's probably almost certainly the worst roster he has, but he's 3-1 right now, so it's hard to rank him too low. Same idea with Hebert's is I thought his team is better than a few of those that are above him, but 0-4, it's going to be tough for him to come back and win the league at this point. Here are the averages as well of all of them. Toy, unanimous last place. That's a tough one. Anything else stick out to you guys?
This is the average.
Yeah, I'm just so surprised Charlotte's so low. I would have thought I would have been the lowest on him, putting him all the way down at 5. I thought that was kind of harsh of me. And yeah, I guess you guys both feel the same, so maybe I'm not 2 off. Shaw's gonna be very mad when he sees this.
Yeah, I mean, I had to put myself in the playoffs, so put myself
Someone
at
has
6.
to.
And I went back and forth with putting Shaw and Milk flip, but I just like Milk's team better. But I mean, Shaw, I mean, what does he have? Like 3 like Jacksonville players, and then some other. He's just got a lot of people who have underperformed. So I think his team is good, but from stats perspective through this 4 weeks, I mean, it looks bad. It looks really bad. But hey, I mean, there's surprises every fantasy team. Some of those can work out, some of those won't.
Yeah, that trade he made T. Higgins for Kenneth Walker is looking really good in his favor. Outside of those top 3 guys, him, JJ, AJ, I don't like really anything on his team. Zay Flowers is good. He's just kind of a meh option at this point. He doesn't look like he's going to be a top 12 or 15 guy like maybe we would have thought
Right.
after the first week. So yeah, he's got some work to do to cut around the edges.
That was my thought as well, Nick. He's got 3 really good players, possibly top 10 players each, but then
Mhm.
it's George Kittle or Rashad White are his next best player, and that's not a
Yeah.
great place to be.
Yeah, there's a drop off, but he does have well, he's starting Brock Purdy now, but he has Trevor Lawrence. I think Trevor Lawrence is not gonna live up to it as much as some may think, and that's gonna be really cumbersome to a lot. I think he has what does he have Ridley as well, or does he not have Ridley?
No, he does not.
Ingram.
Yeah,
Okay,
he's been
so
carrying that second tight end all season.
that bothered me when he drafted his second tight end, and I did not have a tight end. You either, Berg. That sucked because I wanted that tight end. I forget which one he drafted second, but I think it was Ingram. Oh yeah, it was Ingram. Yeah, yeah. I wanted Ingram. So pissed about that. Takes a second tight end. Matt Nick. Matt Nick takes a second tight end, and everyone made fun of him. Shaw does it. No one made fun of him.
It's looking like a bad move right now to me. I think it's just wasting a roster spot. He hasn't played him yet this year and hasn't got any value out of a trade with him.
So hit me up. I'll take him. Actually, I have Hunter Henry, which he's ranked really low. I think that he's going to be okay throughout the rest of the season as a decent waiver wire, but we'll see. Waiver wire ad.
Tight ends are always just kind of a lottery ticket after the first couple. All right, moving on to matchup previews. Okay. We'll start out in a battle of number 1 in the power rankings to number 12 in the standings. Does anyone have Hebert in this one?
He's favored against you?
Well, he is for the moment. I'm still got the 49ers DN and Jonathan Taylor not in my lineup. I have Zach Moss. So things will change once I move Moss or Taylor into the lineup.
I don't have Hebert. I think better days are ahead, but he's got some tough matchups this week. I think his
Yeah.
running backs got some tough matchups there. So I'll take Hebert.
Jake, who you got in this one?
I can't see. What's the other team that he's playing there?
That would be the Hogs.
Oh, that's you? Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Yep.
I also have myself.
Oh, this is
Shaw against Milk now. Nick, who do you think's gonna win this one?
Yeah, Shaw doesn't have an RB2 on his roster right now.
Yeah, worrisome.
Yeah,
That's
he might honestly roll out Walker on the bye.
I think it'd be okay to drop Allen Lazard.
Man, Lazard, Zay Jones is fine. You can keep him. Luke's team is gonna ride on tonight with that Justin Fields versus Washington. I don't know what type of game it's gonna be. You could tell me it's 30-31 or it's 10-11. I don't know how many points are gonna be scored. If it's a lot of points, I think Luke wins this game. I think I'll ride the milkman and I'll take him this week.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Milk as well. I just think, and this is a reason why I just still think that he has a lot of potential on his team, even if he did like absolutely nothing else. Just get the team. I mean, Cole Kmet, I think, could have then I mean he's got Waller, which has turned out to be a great pick, right? He's just got good people on his starting lineup. The one problem that he has is just Fields. I mean, if Fields turns out to be, I think that Fields will turn out to be an okay, just get the ball around kind of guy, but I don't think he's going to be for fantasy great. It's still not going. I mean, they're still going to have to throw the ball because they're going to be down a lot, but I just don't think that it's going to be very consistent. I think it's going to be like 4 points or like 17 points, and like that's going to be it. Like it's just going to flip flop between that, and that's going to lose them a lot of matchups. I mean, if your quarterback's scoring 4 points, that's not very good. But I do think that he comes out. I think he comes out and wins this one. Tyreek Hill is obviously massive. Pretty high on Mixon, bouncing back here. The whole Cincinnati team, and then James Cook was a great pick. It was a great pick there too. So, and Shaw's starting someone who isn't playing this week, probably because he's managing too many properties. But that's on him. He's got to get a real job.
I've also picking Milk in this one. I think just with Shaw's running backs this week, they're normally pretty even teams, but I like Milk this week. All right, next one we got Matt Nick against potential manager of the year, Jake McManus. Jake, why don't we start with you? Who do you think is going to win this matchup?
I actually think this is going to be pretty close. We both don't really have many players on bye. So there's not like there's a massive kind of, holes in lineups here. So I think I got myself. I think that I'm going to pull it out. I mean, you look at all those check marks. Wow, that's a lot. That's looking pretty good.
I got to pause you, Jake. We have a surprise guest appearance. Chris, where are you? Where are you going? And what do you have to say to us? It's a nice chain. He's
Oh
gone.
no.
He texted me and asked for the Zoom link.
I'll fill in the gap if he's coming back. I will take Jake. I think he's got really good matchups this week with Garrett Wilson versus Denver and Pacheco against Minnesota. So I'll take Jake.
And for the third time in a row, we're unanimous. I got Jake again.
Wow, sounds like not a bottom three team.
Well, Matt Nick wasn't much higher.
Uh-oh, here he is.
Why don't we skip to our last matchup? Nick against Chris.
Oh,
Hey, Chris,
goodness.
are you there this time?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Can you see me?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, I'm just sorry. My
Eyes on the
truck
road.
thing.
What's up, Chris?
Jake, love the shirt.
Looking good. Yeah, appreciate it.
We only got 6
All right.
minutes left in this Zoom meeting. Chris, what do you have to say? Where are you going?
Just left the gym. Just got done working out with Will Zalatoris, number 1.
Tell us about your matchup, buddy. We just popped onto your matchup. Who do you
Yeah.
think's gonna win?
You against Nick this week.
Between me and Nick.
Mm-hmm.
Nick's detrimented by the buys this week. His 2 top dogs are out this week on the buy. So sorry, Nicky. I got me this week. I think you'll put up a fight, and I do think it'll actually be close, but I think I'll prevail.
I agree with you,
taking-
Chris. I think Chris has a great team. I already said it once on this podcast. Nick's team's a bunch of clowns. It's gonna be a big win for Chris. Nick, what do you have to say?
I disagree. I think I'm gonna win this week.
Even
you're
with the
gonna-
Chargers on their bye?
Yeah, Goff has one of the best matchups against Carolina. I'm gonna figure out my defense and kicker this week. Apparently, everyone has averaged like 20 something points from their kicker and defense. It's just new this year. I got -6 total last week, which is why I only put up 70 points. You put up anyone else's. If you give me Elliott, which is totally random, by the way, kickers are. I'd be one of the normal scores last week, and no one's roasting me like you. I think Barkley plays. I think you put him into my RB2 spot. And I think Jaden Reed has a great game against the crappy Vegas defense. So I like my subs this week.
Now, I would actually. This was going to be my bold pick of the week here. Is Chris? You missed it, and you'll see it in the replay. But I do really like your team. I think I had you 3 overall. But I think that Lights Kamara Jackson pulls it out. I do think that. I mean, looking at the lineup, and it could go one. I mean, it could go flat, and Nicky could score the least points of the week. But I actually, look at Reed. I think Reed's going to score a touchdown. I think that Jalen Waddle is pissed and is going to get some more targets and potentially a touchdown. I do think that they're projecting that Saquon's going to start. So I think you plug him in there, and then you've got a great, you got a good lineup. Goff's the Detroit Lions quarterback. Like, he's good, and he's gonna throw. And he's got weapons out there, and they finally are figuring out how to use Gibbs. Fuck that guy. We don't need him. We just need Montgomery. Just hand the ball off to Montgomery, please. But other than that, I think it's a good team, and I think that's my upset pick of the week here.
All right. Finally, one that we're split on. Next one, another person towards the top of the power rankings against someone at the bottom. We got Peter against Toy. Toy is the unanimous worst team. Does anyone think he's going to win this week?
I think Toy's going to win.
Let's hear about it.
Because I'm upset with Peter. That's why.
It's personal.
No, I think. I'm sorry, Toy. I don't think you're gonna win. I think Peter's gonna win this, just objectively here. Although I'm not high on a lot of his players. I don't think Madison's gonna be that great for forever. I think he had a really hot start and is gonna fizzle out here. Christian Kirk, I don't think is gonna be all that great long term. Ayuk's gonna get hurt. And Olave hasn't been good. I think that might change around, but who knows? He could just be, kind of mediocre for the rest of the time there. And then, like I said, you're just relying on Mahomes and Kelsey then, which is, 2 powerhouses, but they have one bad game and you lose.
Chris, who are you taking in this one?
I got Pete. And I think Toy earlier this week texted Pete or something, and they were talking about trading. Pete wants to get Jamar Chase off of him, but Toy said he's going to ride or die his team to the grave. So
Yep.
I got Pete this week until Toy tries to make some moves.
I did also try to talk about some Jamar Chase, but I think he's a little jaded when I took him from him last year. But I think. And that's just an odd person. I mean, Jamar Chase just has been absolutely awful, but he just should be phenomenal. So that whole Cincinnati team, I think, is going to have a pretty good rebound in the next couple weeks here.
I agree with that. I think the Bengals will rebound. I don't think they continue this trend of being piss poor on offense.
All right, that's 2 for Peter in this matchup. Next we got Noodle. Who do you think is going to win?
He likes his uncle Peter.
I also have Peter. How about you, Nick?
I'll take Peter.
Sorry,
Alex.
If Toy wins this week, we'll have to get a bunch of memes from him and see him on the podcast next week. Our final matchup.
Chris, what'd you think of my memes? I worked very hard on those, buddy.
I texted our Madison group chat the night before, and I said, be prepared for the onslaught tomorrow because Jake is going to be coming for blood. And I just wake up and it was just straight body bags. I mean, which was, I'm going to say this. I am grateful I didn't get thrown into the ringer with the rest of them because I had the takes last week as well and said that, I didn't think your team was good and blah, 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 this and that. So for me not to be thrown into it with them, I appreciate that. But yeah, you buried them in the dirt and it was great. And they were good memes. I thought they were funny. But I am a little disappointed in you that you didn't double down on the bet with Pete.
No, I can't take his money like that. It's already done too much. I can't do that to the guy. Poor guy.
We have less than a minute left in this free Zoom meeting. Does anyone All right, we are back thanks to Temple University Zoom and Jake McManus. We had one final
That's
matchup.
where all my money went. So I
Exactly.
still use Zoom for 30 minutes.
We also lost our fourth special guest on the pod, Chris. But our final matchup, Dan against Cole. Jake, who you got in this one?
Yeah, this one was tight. I was just looking at it a bit throughout the break while Berg had to apparently shut down his computer because Zoom knocks out the internet. But I think I'm gonna go with Cole here. I think that Jordan Love is gonna be a tough start there versus Vegas. Now, there's definitely some potential there, but I don't think that Drake London's going to look very good there. I know he's got Godwin and Lockett out on bye, and then his quarterback is no more right now. So I think that with Tua against the Giants, I mean they're gonna tear it up there. Same with A-Chain. I mean that's just gonna be a slaughter fest. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Cole here.
Yeah, Cole's team makes me a little nervous. He's got two big players going tonight in McLaurin and Herbert, which it's fun to have one, but when you're starting to get too many players in a Thursday night game, you never like that. And
Yep.
I think Debo's practicing limited right now. He was a total decoy last week, so I'm not sure how they'll use him this week, which makes me a little concerned. The, yeah, these two teams are very close in my mind, and I mean, one's 3-1 and one's 1-3. It's just kind of how it goes sometimes. I guess I'll probably take Dan. I think Dan, he's got some really good matchups. I think that's just gonna lead me to be more on his side.
I'm also taking Dan in this one. I just don't think Cole's team is as good as his record or even close to it. I think Dan's team's underperformed a little bit, but his receivers are tough. I would be shocked if they went for less than 10 combined.
Yeah. So I mean they have actually a not terrible actually no, Cortland Sutton is the Jets, and that's not great. That's not great. Yeah, I will say, Cam Akers, here we are, week 4, Cam Akers. I know we were all questioning, it can't be like last year, right? It's looking that way.
Maybe
It's
worse.
looking that way.
Yeah, I don't know. We got a shotgun alert here for Dan's team. He's starting Drake London. You never know with the Falcons throwing the ball. So
Have we had a shotgun since week 1? I don't think
no.
there's been any. All right.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. I'd also like to, I mean, we don't have to change it now, but I'd like the shotgun to not be on a Friday or Saturday night when you're already drinking. I think that takes away the point of it. I think it'd be hilarious that you have to go do it on a Tuesday night before you get up for work on Wednesday.
You should have to do it in your work clothes.
There we go. After a hard day work, I mean,
Mhm.
what else would you want?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I think that's all for this week on Fantasy PD. Thanks to our surprise guest, Chris. Thanks to our special guest, Jake. And thanks again to you as always, Nick.
Appreciate it.
I'd like
Thanks to our
wish
12 listeners.
I'd like to wish the great state of Wisconsin a good night. I hope that Jordan Love can get it done for you guys this weekend versus Vegas. All the best. Good luck to Green Bay. Good luck to Tua and the Miami Dolphins versus those terrible Giants. But most of all, good luck to them birds.
Good rundown.
Thank you, Jake. Goodbye, everyone.